Welcome and hello there to the second part of our pivotal battle, the first pivotal battle that is, of our Rebellion in the Rim campaign. In the first part we did the deployment where the Empire, which is us guys, deployed their majority of the forces-ish on their on our right flank, and the rebels kind of deployed all over the place. And then in the first round both fleets just moved towards each other, and now we are at the first activation of the second round, which is our Quasar activating 6 squadrons, and we use our bomber ball to go ahead and bomb at the CR-90 corvette, which was a bit out of position. It had no squadrons to screen for it, so we just thought, well, that's an opportunity, let's just take it, and we went ahead. And now we've got the second decimator coming in, and after the second decimator the thing has already lost 4 of his shields. Then the first fire spray comes in and takes away 2 more shields, so now the CR-90 is naked in the front, and then the second fire spray comes in and deals 2 damage, so it was down to 2 health, and then we brought in Merrick to kill it off, which he did, and that was really nice. Then the next thing the rebels did was they used Ezra Bridger to move the dust cloud in the middle of the field, which you'll see right about now. There we go, they moved that, and that was a really good move because the way we had positioned our ISD, that dust cloud prevented us from shooting for I think 2 to 3 rounds. So that was a really good move by the rebels. Yeah. Then going on after that, we had some padding activations, I believe. First it will be the red Gazandi somewhere? No. Next was my... Here comes my Architans, and this one will be pretty important later on, because this was by far one of the best Architans I have flown in a while. As you just saw, I shot through a rock. I wasn't obstructed though, because I have the Master, the Ambush Gunner upgrade on my Captain, and that is really, really good. This Architans will later go on to carry the late game for us as well. Like, that's a major MVP Architans. Now we've got some more guys moving up here. I'll not commentate on that too much, because honestly there's not that much going on here. In other news, as you guys might have already noticed, Star Wars Armada 1.5 is out now, and well, obviously this is still 1.0 because at the time of recording 1.5 wasn't out yet, but I think we will still keep the whole campaign to Armada 1.5, 1.5 I'm saying, yeah, Armada 1.0, because it would be rather inconsistent to just change in between the campaign. Yeah, but if you stay tuned for some more Armada 1.5 that is going to come on this channel, I hope next week, maybe the week after. We'll have to see when the actual Tabletop Simulator mod gets updated. But yeah, as you can see here, next round we won't be able to shoot that MC-75 because it set itself on the dust cloud, and that was a really nice move. So we moved up our stuff a bit more, and they moved their stuff a bit more. There we go, this is the MC-80. That one actually suffered a bit because it was deployed so far off on our left flank that it kind of had to fly behind the MC-75, or at least more out of the battlefield than the MC-75. And due to that, as you can see right now, it's not even in long range again, and our ISD will move after shooting here, and then it will not be in range for another round. and that was like really it didn't help the damage the MC80 did. That is what I'm trying to say. Oof. So anyway, at this point, we as the Imperials debated rather hard what we should do with the IC, because the Speed 3 maneuver would have been rather aggressive, but we decided against that because there's somewhere in there is Yavaris, and if we had moved the Star Destroyer at Speed 3, we would have almost certainly been in the range of the Yavaris squadrons. We really didn't want to do that, so this is what we finally ended up with. And here you can see Sharrow Bay coming in, attacking our bomber ball. I have to say I don't really understand why the rebels engaged that round with Sharrow Bay, and they also put in another A-wing, I believe, somewhere. I believe they tried to slow down our bomber ball, but all they did was just give us more targets to shoot at. Yeah, here you will see the A-wing coming in. And let's wait until the first squadron phase, and I'm gonna show you what happens to that poor A-wing. So here it did 1 damage to a fire spray, I believe. Yeah, and then this rebel transport is in a very unfortunate position because it has to move into the front arc of an ISD, and it is in medium range after its maneuver. So you can bet on what is gone next round. But yeah, I think now is the rest of the squadron phase, or even more squadron activation. So the rebels kind of engaged with some of their squadrons, so they brought a sniper there to snipe at one of our TIE interceptors. But then their slower squadrons, they didn't move them up to maximum range, and that prevented them from even engaging us in the next round, which was, in my opinion, kind of weird. I mean, I get that they wanted to use Yavaris, but the way they moved their squadrons, they cheated themselves out of even more attacks. So here's fighter coordination team coming in, and then yeah, we'll just watch a bit more of the squadron phase, I believe. So now what we did here in the beginning of the squadron phase was we debated where to move Saber's squadron, because we also have Jen, so we could let her attack again. And then what we decided to do was to keep her in the back rather defensively and just snipe at that generic A-wing, and the snipe did 3 damage, which was really, really good. So we could later bring in Mauler Mythol to kill off that A-wing without having to deal with any counters whatsoever. Then our enemies decided to move up more of their A-wings. That was a solid move. That was what they had to do. And we just saw all their squadrons, and we wanted to postpone the engagement of the squadrons a bit more, because we thought every round that our squadrons aren't engaged yet is a round more that we can probably bomb some stuff. So that is a good round for us. And that also seemingly worked rather well in this sitting for us. So yeah, but I'm supposed to not spoiler anymore, so I won't say more to this. But yeah, now you will see the rebels moving up, and they use their rather slower squadrons, and they use them in a way like, as I tried to say earlier, they tried to keep their squadrons out of our reach. But in doing so, they also kept their squadrons out of their reach, if that makes sense to you. And that, I think that hindered them more than it did hinder us in the end. Yeah. So here we have like, Tycho could have gone in rather aggressively. And I personally would have moved him somewhere to the squadron engagement, because Tycho's being moved right now, like on the left side of the board. but they actually moved them somewhere completely away from the squadrons, and that didn't make much sense to me. And then we brought in Vader to screen for Mauler, and we just moved another defender. And then it was back to the rebels. They moved, I think, Wedge and a Scrug. And this is a Scrug bomber. Again, not that fast, but what they're doing is not using all of its movement capabilities. Another thing I also didn't really understand was the MC-30, because an MC-30 is a great ship, don't get me wrong. And this is smaller Mythol killing off the single A-Wing with his nice little attack. And I think we just jumped to round 2, where we moved up Saber Squadron, round 3 I should say, where we moved up Saber Squadron to snipe at Shara Bay, who was engaged with our bomber wing. And then we moved up Jendon to make Saber Squadron shoot again, and we rode pretty good on both of the rolls. We got an accuracy which was rather nice. And then all that was left to do was bring Mauler in there to kill Shara, because she was down to 1 HP. But we also wanted to have Vader screen for Mauler, so the next thing we moved up was Vader, I believe. Come on. Yeah, this is Vader coming in and shooting at the YT-2400, doing a lousy 2 damages, which was rather sad. And then Mauler comes in and just splashes both of those guys, killing Shara Bay with his ability, again not getting countered because of an ability, and then shooting the YT-2400 for 1 damage, which was rather sad. But the YT-2400 was sitting on 2 HP and it hadn't activated yet, so we figured let's bring our almost dead TIE Interceptor in there and try and kill it, and so we did. And then the IST went ahead and just killed the transports, because it's transports and it's an IST at medium range. I mean, it was not a biggie. And then we have 2 red dice at the side of the MC-75. Again, we can't shoot it because it's behind the gas cloud. And then we decided to slow down the IST even more, so it just did a speed 1 maneuver here to not get into engagement range for the Yavaris fighters and bombers. And here the rebels decided to use their fighters to bomb a Gazanti, and this was like another thing I really didn't understand why they did that. They really needed their squadron firepower to deal with our squadrons. But they shot at a Gazanti. And then the Janus Light shot at my Gazanti as well. It had it in a double arc, and I had to burn through my scatters here. But since I was lucky and he didn't roll any accuracies, I could do that, and my little transport lived to fly another round. But yeah, as I was trying to say earlier, if they had moved their squadrons more last round, they would have inevitably been in engagement range of the ISD by now, but they didn't, and that was, I think, their biggest mistake. Then my Gazanti activated a TIE Defender here, and we used that to chip away more at the enemy squadrons, killing a unactivated Headhunter squadron, which took away even more of the enemy's damage, and then I flagged out my back. Managed to do 1 hit on the A-Wing, on the generic one, and yeah, then I tried to run away with the Gazanti, but I didn't really manage to get my behind out of the firing arc of the Corvette, which was rather unfortunate. But yeah, I think this is the maneuver I should have done, and this is what I ended up doing, so here you go. And this is still pretty plain sight for the Corvette, and I don't have a scatter anymore, which was not that good. But yeah, what happened next? I think we have some buffer, huh? The German comes through. Some buffer activations. Here we have a transport, and then I think we activate another transport of ours. think it should be pink transport activating now. Anytime, or blue. Oh no, the blue transport. That we put that on the left side, kind of hoping to bait the rebels into thinking we would deploy something on the left side. I think it worked, kind of. I don't know if they actually deployed because of that transport all the way on that side there. But yeah, that thing just baited them a bit and then was useless for the rest of the game. But here we have another A-wing engaging our TIE Defender, and then a Headhunter coming along shooting that same for a whopping 3 damage, which is really, really good. That poor Defender just got slapped by a Headhunter really hard. And then they brought their first bombers in. This is Green Squadron, but because of the way Frodo has kitted out his Star Destroyer, he has expert shield attacks and damage control officer, which is a really defensive ISD build, but I really like it. The bombers didn't do as much damage as they could have done if it wasn't as defensive. Then the MC-75 finally moved up, they had to, and it went into a nice double arc, but the ISD also double arced the MC-75. And at this point, the way our enemies had put down their fighters really defensively, we activated our Quasar Fire because we saw an opportunity to bomb the MC-75, and so we did. We did bring a TIE Interceptor to clear the Headhunter, which he did. Then we brought Major Reimer, who was or is an important complement of our squadrons, because he gives us the close range bombing instead of the range 1 bombing. And by bringing him into there, we could bomb from a really big kind of... yeah, we had a lot of space to put our bombers in. And because they deployed their squadrons that defensively, we had a big space to bring our bombers in. I'm kind of... yeah, you know what I mean. We've got another fire spray now coming in, shooting at the front of that poor MC-75 again for 2 more damage, bracing, redirecting it, and then we've got another fire spray coming in, attacking the front again for I think 2 more damages, and that was pretty brutal because we just did 5 damage to the front of the MC-75. That was some solid damage right there, and I believe later in the squadron phase our 2 decimators came in as well, and they did like 2 or 3 damage again, as well again, and in the end that did put a big hurt on the MC-75. And now you can see here they finally moved in Tycho. But the problem was because they had put him that defensively on the rock last round, he couldn't really move to engage every of our squadrons, and that left us with plenty of space to still bomb the MC-75 there. And the way the MC-80 is standing, it's still not posing that big of a threat for our Star Destroyer. And then we here have some more squadrons shenanigans. I believe being activated by the now pink Gazantes, killing another A-wing that hadn't activated yet. Then we had rebels, and as you can see here, those were the engagement rings of the rebel fighters screening for the MC-75, so they were just a bit too far behind to actually prevent the bombing. And yeah, some ramming going on, I believe, and yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what is going on next. I think we'll have some more buffer activations. This is like a Hammerhead Corvette being completely out of the battle for this game. I think it gets to shoot something later because I did a really reckless maneuver on my Raider. But basically that was a bit far off. Another thing that was really hard out of the battle was this Gladiator, which had to like swim outwards to not block the Quasar all the time, and that did limit our flight paths rather hard. And then as I already said, but I'm just gonna say it again, I still don't understand why this thing was going speed 1 every turn. I think this MC30 actually did go speed 1 for every round of this game, for all the 6 rounds. And that, to me, at least to me, was like, oof. And here you can see my Mad Lad maneuver. I put my Raider in a spot where I hoped to obstruct it from the MC80 through the gas cloud, so I wouldn't be able to be shot. Sparking, I believe, a 1-hour discussion whether or not the thing is in fact obstructed or not. We had to roll a die at the end, and it was not obstructed by decision of the die. That was really sad, but I still think it was a good position for the Raider. It also put it on a double arc on the MC75, which could have hurt if we had to use the Raider on the MC75. And yeah, that was, I still believe it was a good maneuver. I'm just sorry for the discussion it sparked. Yeah, so this is Yveris moving farther up, and because there's 2 ships in front of Yveris, it kind of got blocked again and it had to go around. And the rebels kind of seem to have a rather large amount of problems with ships blocking them. Yeah. Then they fired a coordination team, but they still didn't have anything to really get Yveris, which was good for us and rather bad for them. And I believe this will probably be the end, because they just activate some more squadrons, fly them in there, but still in a way where our decimators can bomb the MC75 for some reason. And then our decimators came in and bombed the MC75, leaving that thing with no shields on its right side and no shields on its front. And that was rather tremendous. And this is Wedge shooting a poor little TIE Defender that will be getting killed by Dutch then. Yeah, our TIE Defenders had to suffer this game, but it was what they had to do. So as you can see here, they bring in Dutch, but Dutch is heavy, so he still doesn't prevent us from bombing later on. Here the TIE Defender dies. Or was it a TIE Defender? No, it was a fire spray they killed. Sorry, that was my bad. But then here the our decimators can still come in and are still outside of engagement range for all the non-heavy squadrons. So we opted to still bomb the front of the MC75, and here it took 2 damage, which was a lot at that point. So it had no shields on the front. And then we brought in the second fire spray.